used to hate my job. I used to hate my Mondays. The changing moment came when one fine day I got a call from IMT Ghaziabad. They said, we are now thinking of setting up India office for the Dubai campus. Would you like to do it?
We have a lot of viewers who still want to know that what is Intersect all about. What was your entire ideology behind it?
Solving a problem. So there are these different people who are all working for the benefit of the student, but they don't talk to each other.
Who do you think is the right people who should be a part of Intersect community?
Anybody from academia industry should be part of it.
Where do you see Intersect 3 years from now? Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Intersect podcast. Today's episode is super special to us because this time we are turning the mic around. Hi, I am Janvi Bakshi, Marketing Manager of Intersect, and joining me is someone who usually asks the questions. But today, he's sitting in the hot seat. Please welcome Mr. Ankur Vohra, Head of Institutional Partnerships at Masters Union and Project Director of Intersect. Let's dive in together to know his journey, his inspiration, why he started with Intersect, and what lies ahead, something very special for us. So hi Ankur, how are you?
Hi Janvi, I'm good. How are you?
All good. So Ankur, let's know about you. Let's forget about Intersect for a second. Let's forget about what we are going to start new. If I want to know you as a person, can you share from where did you get this inspiration to enter into education? Because as far as I remember, you started your journey as an engineer, but now you're heading the entire education sector. So tell us a little about yourself and your journey.
Wonderful. Thank you for the question, Janvi. It's an honor to be here. You know, my journey in education started, you're absolutely correct. I was a software engineer working in an organization called Satyam Computers, did my software engineering, computer science engineering. And, I used to hate my job. Every time I used to go to work, I used to feel why I am doing this. I mean, I saw no relevance of it. Although people around me were very, very happy that I am a software engineer working in one of the top IT companies in the country. But I was not happy. I used to hate my Mondays and I used to hate my boss. And I used to think, if this is it, I mean, because the world around me was telling me, you have arrived, you are a software engineer and, you are doing a very, very nice, and next step for you is, go abroad, get a green card, ship to US or Europe and then get settled. But, that was the time that I realized that there was something missing in my journey till that point of time in my life. And what was missing was that I had not realized the career choices that I was making were not of my own, but were of people around me. And be it engineering or be it studying, non-medical in 11th and 12th, and then even choosing to become a software engineer, getting a job in Satyam, was all being done because I wanted people around me to be happy. And the one person that should be happy was not even involved in that decision making. And at that point of time, I realized that, money is not everything. I mean, recognition from people around you is not everything. The first thing that matters to anyone should be your inner satisfaction and you doing justice to your own potential. Right. So that put me on a path. In India, what we do after engineering, when we realize that this is not what we wanted to do, we go for MBA. Right. And I also, I chose that path. I wrote CAT as an exam, prepared for 1 year along with my job, and used to get up early and go to coaching, and all those things happened. And then I ended up in a college called IMT Ghaziabad, and their Dubai campus, IMT Dubai. And I went to Dubai for 2 years of my life, and being outside of India opened my world. And I realized that I have been living in a very small ecosystem or an echo chamber, where a very cocooned environment where everybody around me had similar aspirations. And I mean, nothing against them. I mean, coming from our background, I mean, I come from a middle class family, and everybody around me had similar aspirations, get a job, get educated. Get educated means if you're a boy, it's either has to be an engineer or a doctor. That's it. I mean, you don't think of any other career. Okay, if you extend it too far, maybe become an accountant or a CA. That's about it. So when I went to Dubai, I realized that, I was not the only one that was facing this challenge. There were thousands of versions of me, and this is before Three Idiots came, that people were not happy going to a job or office on a Monday. They used to hate their weekdays, and they were always looking forward to the weekends. Saturday, Sunday, when will be the holiday? And I realized, when will this madness stop? And why is nobody talking about this problem? And that there are so many of us that are doing jobs that they are not happy about. Why can't Mondays be as exciting? And I always used to think, if people around the world work like this, but being in Dubai, I realized people were happy going to job and people were doing very well in their careers, and they were happy even on a weekday as happy they are on a weekend. I'm as happy on a Monday as I am on probably on a Saturday or a Friday night. And that's where my journey started in education. I started writing a blog. I used to write a lot online. There were a couple of blogs that I started writing. There was a website called pagalguy.com for MBA aspirants. And I used to write a blog about my life at IMT Dubai. Every day I used to write, and there was another blog that I used to write about making correct MBA choices, how to choose business schools, and in those writings I was also talking about making the correct career choices. This is 2008 to 2010. I never realized that this would become my career because that was just an hobby. For me, I used to write in my free time. A lot of people used to write to me and say, and this is before social media became social media. It was Orkut days at that point of time. I don't know even if you remember this website or know this website called Orkut.
Yeah,
so we used to run pages on Orkut and give career advice to people. So that's how I quite started enjoying what I was doing in terms of guiding, youngsters on career choices. Started with MBA choices, but very soon as I was to realize it was to become my career.
So if you look back today, was there any specific defining moment that sparked your interest towards education or leadership?
So post MBA, spending 2 years in Dubai and having that cosmopolitan experiences of seeing how a Philippine person thinks about life, and how a person from UK thinks about life and career, how a person from France, US. Dubai is a cosmopolitan place. I mean, you have over 100 plus nationalities that call Dubai their home, and I was part of this entire ecosystem. And the campus that I was in, we were not only having experiences within the classroom but outside of the classroom. So I did 4 internships during my 2 years at IMT Dubai, and I went around. I saw the region, traveled across GCC. I went to Qatar and I did projects in the industry. And I was never thinking of coming to education as a full-time career. I got a campus placement in HT Media. And circumstances were like this that I had to come back to India because of my personal reasons, and I joined HT Media in heading corporate sales. And pretty soon I realized I was in the same rut. I was not enjoying my Mondays. I said, this is not what I want to do in life, and this is the same boring routine where you have to sell a product which has been built by somebody else, which you may or may not really like. And the changing moment came when one fine day I got a call from IMT Ghaziabad, and they said, Ankur, we really loved what you were doing as a student in IMT Dubai, and we are now thinking of setting up India office for Dubai campus. We need to set somebody as the founding director for this office, and set up the admissions, outreach practices for IMT Dubai in India. Would you like to do it? I mean, you are very natural. Even today, students come to us with your name that Ankur recommended, this university, and that's why we are here. So I said, wow, you will pay me for doing this? So I thought nobody will. And this is again very early days for education in India. There were no masters union, or there were no liberalization of education. Education was very highly regulated. Not many great private institutions were around, and IMT Ghaziabad was one of those renowned ones. So I jumped at this opportunity and I said I would love to do this. And so it's been 2010 is when I joined IMT Ghaziabad to head the admissions and outreach and operations for IMT Dubai India campus. And ever since that, there has been one opportunity after an opportunity that came together for me, that I never left education, and last 15 years I have been here.
So I guess going out of India, that was the major step that you took.
Absolutely.
Which absolutely helped you to get into education and know diverse people. So do you think that in today's generation, people like me or young generation out there, do you think that still stepping out of your country is something that we should do, so that we can also get that kind of an opportunity and that exposure that you got probably 15 years back?
Absolutely, I vouch for this, that you should get out of your comfort zone, and everybody should travel. If not for education, if you are going for education, great. But again, you have to have certain amount of time that you should spend outside of your comfort zone. And it can be, I mean, for me, the experience of even shifting from Delhi to Hyderabad for my job in Satyam was an experience, just to figure out living on your own, scouting for houses, and then living with 6 other friends in the same house and running the house, and then managing my local transport, food, and everything was an experience. And then going to Dubai was an altogether a different experience. So I keep telling my young people that reach out to me, don't, if you have an opportunity of not being a day scholar, don't be a day scholar. Live in a hostel. You learn so much more in your life. If you get an opportunity to go abroad for a summer school or an experience, go take that. If you have an opportunity to go and study abroad in a top university, please go and take that. But having an experience in international space, it opens and widens your horizons. I mean, all said and done, India today is one of the growing economies, and we are seeing a very different India than what it was in 2008 when I went to Dubai. But still, there is merit in being on your own and traveling on your own and having those experiences and those conversations with people from around the world. That changes your whole perspective towards life.
So, can you take us back again towards your timeline of your journey, that after you ended up working with IMT Ghaziabad? So, how did you, today you are heading institutional partnerships at Masters Union. So, from IMT Ghaziabad to Masters Union, how did that transition take place?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, and I'll tell you how it happened. So, after IMT Ghaziabad, I spent almost about 3 years with them. And at that point of time, still early days for me in education, I was still trying to figure out, okay, is there a career in education? Because again, this is those days when you didn't have Masters Union around to go to. One fine day, I met a gentleman who I call my first mentor, Mr. Rahul Banerjee, who used to head corporate affairs at APJ group of institutions, one of the reputed groups of education institutions. They have multiple schools and universities and colleges. I met him. I still remember that day. I just went for that interview. They called me and they said, I met Rahul, and he said, he found me good and he loved my experience in the Gulf. He said, you have traveled around in, Dubai and Qatar and Saudi and all these places. It's fascinating. And I was looking at him and like, yeah, but you are in India and I don't think you would be looking to recruit from those markets or have presence in those markets. And then at that point of time, he gave me an interesting project. He said, we are a 50-year-old educational group and we want to internationalize our schools and our colleges and our university, and I want you to head that project. The only clause here is that you won't be in India for 8 months in a year. And you will get to travel the world.
I guess that is what you wanted.
So I was sold. I said, perfect. I was, I think, about 24, 25 at that point of time in my life. Prime age. And I wanted to explore the world. And I had already traveled in Dubai and the Middle East. And I was like, okay. So he told me, you will travel in Africa and, Central Asia and South Asia, Southeast Asia. And I said, why not? I would love to do this. Is this a possibility in Indian education that an Indian brand would like to go out and internationalize? And that was fascinating. I joined them in 2013 and got to travel to about 20-25 countries in those 2 years. And it really was. I mean, one day I was in Maldives, and next day I was in Bangkok, and another day I was in Mongolia, and then next day I was probably in Africa, traveled to about 20 countries around the world. And those 2 years that I spent with them really opened my eyes. I mean, Dubai was an experience, but imagine a 25-year-old getting to travel the world, seeing education very closely across so many different regions of the world. And I realized the problem that I was trying to solve. I mean, grumpy 35-year-old or 30-year-old or 25-year-old, these people who are grumpy on a Monday morning, this is a problem across the world. It was not only in India. I mean, people in Africa had similar problems. People in, in Central Asia had similar problems. In Mongolia had similar problems. And I said, this is a global pandemic. I mean, people have this problem everywhere in the world, and I can probably help them make better career choices. And I think that really led me to this international travel. And then another, as I say, it is always about your hard work, and it's also about the timing. Post APJ, thing was that Rahul was moving away from APJ, and I said, if you are moving, then where would I go? I mean, it's very close relationship that I shared with him. Then at that point of time, I met Vineet Gupta, who was the founder at Ashoka University, and he was at that point of time the pro vice chancellor. And Vineet and me had a long relationship. Even during when I was working with APJ, I used to write to him about my experiences around the world. And 2015 is when they were setting up the undergraduate program at Ashoka. And Vineet said, we met, and he said, why don't you bring internationalization to Ashoka? And that was, I think, the turning point in my career. Because for an institution like Ashoka, I was heading the entire international outreach, and my mandate was to get the brightest of the students from across the world to Ashoka. You know, Ashoka is a by name for world-class education, private education, and to represent Ashoka. But at that point of time, I traveled to about 20 countries, and Vineet told me that we need to broaden it, and it's not only the developing countries that we want to go and recruit students from. I want you to go and get me students from US. I mean, I remember I traveled to New York and conferences in Cleveland, and I became a member of International ACAC, which is a world-renowned organization of career counselors and university professionals. Proudly used to travel to places I remember I went to Korea for a conference where we were inviting students to come and join Ashoka. And again, traveled the world. I think by that point of time, I had traveled to about 30 countries with Ashoka. And again, same story, never being at home. I mean, kudos to my wife who always encouraged me. But yeah, it was those times when I used to be away from home, living in a suitcase, living in hotels and taking flights around the world. But then again, Ashoka and getting those students to Ashoka campus really motivated me more. And seeing an African student coming on a full scholarship to Ashoka and having that experience, their eyes lighting up when they entered Ashoka was another experience. So Ashoka happened, and then another very, very important milestone in my life happened, which was becoming the director for admissions and outreach at OP Jindal Global University. Till that point of time, I was not really known in the Indian admissions and outreach circle, because I used to be always out of India. So I was very well known globally, but not within the Indian circuit. And then I met Professor Dr. C. Raj Kumar, the founding vice chancellor at OP Jindal Global University, who told me that, we would love for you to head our admissions and outreach within India and abroad as well. So started working with OP Jindal, and it's been, as I said, 15 years now across these multiple institutions. Traveled to about so many countries and 1,000+ institutions. It has been a journey, and and Masters Union happened 2 years back for me. I didn't think after Ashoka and OP Jindal. There were a couple of years where I was not working with any higher education institutions because I was not finding anything interesting enough. And I was in Kenya 2 years back, and I was doing a project in Nairobi with a company there. I became a consultant, and I was there, and one of my friend called me. And he said, you should, once you are back in India, go and check out this institution called Masters Union. I said, what is it? I mean, Masters Union, is it like because in Africa, MasterCard, the card company, runs multiple institutions. So they are donors and they run it. I said, is MasterCard opening another institution? And it is funny, but he said, no, this is a Indian institution set up by, young entrepreneurs in India. I recruit from them, the students from Masters Union, and they're brilliant. And this is the first time in my life where a recruiter had told me that they are recruiting from a university or an institution and the students are brilliant. So I said, definitely I'll go and check them out. Came back to India, visited Masters Union, met Swati, and and then rest is history. I've been here ever since.
So I guess your journey, honestly, for somebody who's young like me, it's absolutely I'll say inspiring to just hear. But now, since we're talking about Masters Union, let's talk a little bit about Intersect as well. So Intersect 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 editions are done, but we have a lot of viewers who still want to know that what is Intersect all about. So can we dive a little bit about your thought process behind the first edition of Intersect? How did that start? Why did you start with it? What was your entire ideology behind it?
Perfect. So in our space, as I said, before I worked in fantastic institutions, and we always used to do council of lines, where we want people to come in and experience a university, be it Ashoka, be it OP Jindal. We have always done it. Given my network, internationally, I've worked for last so many years. I used to host international events and have been doing that year on year since last 15 years. But when I came to Masters Union, it's a very different institution, right? Learn by doing. And we are a disruptor. We are now changing the way higher education is looked at, not only in India, but across the world. And I remember the first month I worked very closely with Swati, and we were discussing, how can we bring in people to experience what we have to offer. Because once you are here and you see this energy and meet our students and meet our faculty members and meet the people who are making Masters Union happen, it's a very different journey. And Swati and me discussed, and we said it cannot be a simple council of line. We don't want to do that. We want to add value to whoever it is that is coming in touch with us. And kudos to Swati. She immediately agreed to this, and I also agreed to this idea that it has to be solving a problem. Whatever we do has to solve a problem. And one of the problem that I realized is that problem that people are operating in silos. So when we say, academia, industry, that's the problem we are solving, right? Bridging the industry academia silo. There are smaller silos that we all create within our community itself. In terms of my community, I come from education background. There are principals, there are career counselors, there are independent career counselors, there are edtech companies, there are educational experience providers. So there are these different people who are all working for the benefit of the student, but they don't talk to each other.
Right.
And the first thought in my mind was, why don't we bring all of them together? We said, okay, we'll bring them together, and we'll also bring them their industry. With the wider problem that Masters Union is solving as an institution is bridging the divide between industry and academia. Intersect, first of all, will become, the broad goal is bridging the industry academia divide. The second sub goal within that goal is to bring all these stakeholders together on a single platform. So this is where I think we decided that Intersect will become this platform, bridge the divide, and live by the DNA of this institution. Bringing people together, learn by doing. That's where the genesis of Intersect started.
Okay, so was there a moment during any of the Intersect events where you felt like that Intersect can be more than just a 1 day, 2 day, or a 3 day event?
So, Intersect, we have hosted 4 editions. 2 years now. The first edition was half a day event. I think I still remember planning for that with Swati. And then subsequently Intersect 2 happened, which was about a day long event, and we had half a day of excursion in Delhi, something like that. Intersect 3 really became and we had, I think by that point of time, we had Intersect 3, we had 150 people that came and attended it from 15 different countries. I think Intersect 3, when we spent, these people were ready to spend couple of days with us and flying in from 15 countries. That was the time that I realized, okay, people are really interested and invested in this idea of bridging the industry academia divide. And if they are ready to fly in from 15 countries to be part of Intersect, there is more to this, right? And then Intersect 4, you've been a part of, I think, Intersect 4 also. That was amazing. Having so many distinguished speakers, coming in and spending their time with us, and then people from so many different countries again coming and spending. I think Intersect 3 was a turning point where I realized that now we were thinking of bigger things, and Intersect 4 really was the point where I realized now we are ready to become a full-fledged community with round the year content and round the year engagement, because people were coming to me and saying, okay, this event you do every 6 months, after that what? Till when we have to wait for the next Intersect. So that the whole energy of those 4 Intersect 2 years, I think came together after Intersect 4.0 to tell me that now it's the time that we should be setting up our own community.
So in your vision, what do you think that how is Intersect community different from other networks of educators? What do you think is something which is differentiating us from them?
I think one of the first thing that is differentiating for me is the connect that we all share. Now I think Intersect, we have touched upon about 350 to 400 delegates that have visited us and being a part of one or more than one of our Intersect events. And we have a community on WhatsApp for about 500 plus people. Uh, all of them are connected to each other. They're very invested in the idea, not only for their self growth and their own selfish reasons, but they are here talking about the larger problem that we are solving, the bridging the industry academia divide. All of them, most of them, when they reach out to me, they will tell me, Ankur, this is what we can do for you. I was in traveling in Middle East last week, and I met few of our community members at Intersect in Doha, and even in Muscat, and all of them were telling me, okay, when is it the launch of the community is going to happen? What is it that I can do for the community? I hope you are opening up some volunteering positions also within the community so that I can contribute. We really love what you're doing. So I think that commitment to the larger cause rather than just being there for your own self growth is what sets Intersect apart. And I think the second thing I will say is the quality of the people that we have in the community. They are all trailblazers. I mean, there are thousands of institutions, there are thousands of companies, but very few handful of people and again, I'm saying this from my own experience of traveling to so many countries and so many institutions, there are very few handful of people that are really committed and who are trailblazers in their own field. They are very successful in their own space. They have limited amount of time, which will be free for them, and they are still choosing it to invest in Intersect and invest in achieving the larger goal of bridging the industry academia gap. I think that is what separates us as a community than any other network.
So why do you think that now is the right time to start such kind of an initiative of launching a community altogether?
Why is now the right time? I think we are all talking about technology change happening. I mean, AI is going to disrupt the way things operate around the world. If we do not bridge this gap between industry and academia, if you look at the larger higher education conversations around the world also, students are now getting ready to question the relevance of a higher education or even going to a school. If the schools and the higher education institutions are not going to give skills, and if they are not going to give education which is relevant to the industry, nobody is going to come to an educational institution, because gone are those days, because information is now easily accessible through chatbots and AI tools and everything. It's no longer not accessible. One is that, I mean, the current scenario of the global education and industry. So bridging the industry academia gap becomes very, very important here. And how do you channelize this energy? You have to have a community, right? If you cannot channelize this energy, for us it becomes very difficult to sustain the growth that we want in the global economy, the synergy that we want to have. I think so. That's why it's about the right time. And I think if I say about India, in terms of my country, although we are in Intersect, we have delegates from 15 plus countries. But let's say India, and let's talk about global South and the developing world. I think the change that is happening in the developed world is going to come to us. We are still a couple of years behind that, but we have to be prepared. So when that technology hits us, we are ready for them. Through us, our students are ready for those changes that are going to come. So we have to bring all of us together in a community. That's why Intersect is important.
So just a followed up question to this, that where do you see Intersect in the upcoming, let's say 3 years from now?
Definitely I see it as thousands of members in Intersect as a community, all aligned. We are about, as I said, we are about 500 members right now, 500 dedicated, devoted members. But I see thousands of people getting aligned to this, because it is no longer an option to bridge an industry academia gap. It is the necessity of our times. And then having impact on the ground. I think till now, whatever we have been doing has been as an event, right? Every 6 months we meet, we do an event. Great 2-3 days of learning, but then everybody is back to their routine jobs. A lot of the time our delegates ask me, how can I implement what I learned in Intersect in my daily routine job? How can you help me? So that again is a problem for me as an individual to do, because I can't help everyone. But then I see the initial few months of Intersect when we launched the community. Now I think when we officially launch the community, we have a year-long engagement plan. We come up with training programs. We come up with resources that help our members take this work forward. Whatever has been discussed in our conference rooms really goes out and is implemented on the ground. I think that's the win I want. I mean, this gap has to be bridged, and it has to be bridged not only, as we say in Masters Union, I mean, learn by doing. So we have been speaking a lot about bridging this gap, and it has been well received 2 years, and that's why we are here. But what got us here will not take us to the next growth stage. I think the next growth stage has to happen through each and every member that joins our community and then takes this mission forward in his or her daily life, and the community becomes a supporting group for that person. Each and everyone becomes a supporter for that person to take this vision forward.
So, who do you think is the right category of people who should be a part of Intersect community, and what can they expect out of it?
I think right category of people, definitely we are talking about academia and industry people. Anybody from academia and industry should be part of it. I mean, as I said, it's no longer an option. It has to be necessary for people to become a part of this mission in whichever way. I mean, Intersect is one of the communities. I'm sure there are others around the world. Wherever you are, you should work at doing that. And who is the right fit? I mean, in terms of personality, I will say, I mean, you have to have a broad vision and you should be open to new ideas. Sometimes people are too comfortable in their own comfort zones. And if you are that person, I mean, Intersect may not be the right fit for you. We want people who are energetic, who want to, first of all, think of giving back rather than, expecting to get back from a community. So if you are that person who thinks of giving back to the community, helping your students grow, helping the bridging the industry academia gap, I think those kind of people are most welcome at Intersect.
So I guess that's it for this particular conversation. So thank you so much, Ankur, for sharing your journey and vision with us. It's not every time that we get to hear the story from the storyteller. And I just want to say, like, to all our viewers, something exciting is coming up in our Intersect community. And I feel that Intersect is not just a moment, but it's soon going to become a movement now.
Amazing. I mean, I'm so excited for the next phase of growth. And Janvi, thank you so much for being one of our integral part of this community and keeping us going. Look forward to working with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.